welcome to special simulcast, the Neil Haley Store and the Storehouse Media Group Podcast with our host, Sherrie. How are you, Sherrie? I know you're excited about our guest.
I am. I am because he is a very impressive guest.
Yes. So we have, his accolades go on and on. He's going to talk about, again, what's coming up very, very soon. Lorne Balfe joins the show, Grammy Award winner. Your list goes on and on of awards, composer for the Beverly Hills Cop score. We're going to talk all about what's happening, Beverly Hills Cop time. And you're also an Emmy and BAFTA nominated composer. How are you, Lorne? Thanks for stopping by.
I'm great. As my 9-year-old son said to me, though, you're always nominated. When do you think you'll actually win? Which is basically the objective this year, I think, is to try to actually win something so he doesn't keep saying that all the time.
Well, but you have a Grammy. But you still have a Grammy right next to you, right? Right now?
Well, I don't have it next to me. It's somewhere else. But yes, that is true. There is that. I should put that in his bedroom to remind him every morning.
Okay, go ahead. Share your question for him.
Don't you love the way kids just like slap you in the face with their honesty? I mean, they don't hold back. They just tell you. But yeah, I mean, you are as Neil said, you're an award-winning Emmy nominator, over 100 plus films, and that has put you at $9 billion that the films you worked on have earned at the box office. That makes you one of the most successful film composers in all the time. I mean, I think that's that's quite an impressive accomplishment. So congrats on that.
Listen, I wouldn't mind a check with that amount of money. Also, that would be quite good.
I know, right?
So tell us how did it all start for you?
It started with fundamentally. It started with being in a musical household. My father was a songwriter, and I was brought up with musicians, and we had a recording studio at home that bands from all of the world used to come and record at. Ozzy Osbourne used to record there, and a weird connection. Inner Circle, who wrote the song Bad Boys, used to record there also, and that was my upbringing, being around that. So the inspiration kind of rubbed off on me, and so when I did want to be doing musical things, it was kind of accepted. It was fine. So I started doing that, and then that led to kind of writing jingles and commercials, and led to TV, then film, and I've made it very brief. There was a lot of hard work in the middle of all of it, but really it kind of starts from the childhood, and that I was surrounded by it.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I guess when you're surrounded by it, it just happens. And you can, but again, you had to show your talent and your hard work. Hard work had to pay off as well in this, right? You put a lot of work into this to get where you are.
I always think of the fact that, doors can be open for you, but you've got to get through them. And I think that what it meant was not having a wall, an obstacle there where I was told, when are you going to get a real job, or that isn't a real job. So that was the kind of a very fortunate thing, because I think nowadays it's far more open conversations about it. But going back, we'd say 48 years ago, anything to do with the arts was very limited, and there wasn't the same opportunities as there are now.
Well, where do you get your inspiration to create and compose this music?
The inspiration comes from what you're working on. I think if the film or the TV show, if it's not good, it's difficult to be inspired. And the inspiration fundamentally comes from what you're looking at and what you're And it's the same way as I always, I love cinema. I love watching movies, and I always think of myself as questioning what does the audience want. So that's how I look at the concept of filmmaking. What does the audience want or need?
Do you watch the movie and as it is, and then you start creating the music? Is that the process?
It's sometimes is, and sometimes it's not. I think you're always kind of you're. Sometimes I start working on something based on a script. I think on Mission Impossible, the last one, I started writing just based on the script, and that brings that inspiration. But then sometimes you work on a project and the film's fully finished, and you only have a couple of weeks to get it finished. So every project's always different, but the ideal one is to be there from the beginning, so that you get to be part of that journey, and you have an understanding of who these characters are.
No doubt. Absolutely. And tell us about, again, the new movie, Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F, in theaters and streaming on July 3rd. Let's talk about specifically enough how you're involved in this.
Well, I'm involved. I wrote the soundtrack to it, so I write all the music that you hear. That's not a song. Basically, we do have some fantastic new songs in the movie, and some old songs that come from if you're fans of the original two films. But yes, I'm my job is to write the score and the underscore to when there, for example, there's a chase or there's characters discussing a relationship.
And that's so important. Without that, there's no movie, right? Without the music.
I totally agree. But I think sometimes it's interesting. You can watch films like Paranormal Activity, for example, which is a horror genre movie, but yet there's no music in it, which is very strange. But I think the same was with the Blair Witch Project. There was no actual music. So against my professional opinion, sometimes it can work. It just depends on what the story is that you're trying to tell. I think there's a lot of, especially in Britain, TV from the soap opera side doesn't have any music, and it seems to work for the audience. But compared to America, the soaps there always have soundtracks.
Yeah, it seems to be part of the setting and the mood, getting the viewers like ready for that mood. And, is it scary? Is it anticipating? Is it happy? To me, music is important.
Yes, and I think it's also just to remind the audience of who these characters are and what the backstory is of them, just to make it more immediate. I think with television, with soap operas, the characters. They're in your sitting room, every day or 2 days a week. So you don't need to be reminded of what their past history is, compared to a film where you're watching it for the first time, and you need to be able to get an instant recognition of who they are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the cool thing about it is that you see this film and the whole brand, and you want to keep that going. You don't want to deviate from what has worked, right?
Well, yes and no, because the thing is that I think it's a fascinating franchise, Beverly Hills, because nobody ever talks about number 3. And there was a number 3, and I think it just seems to be a forgotten one where people feel that it wasn't connected. So you've got that, and also you've got the concept of some people, when they do remakes, they don't it's difficult. Do you hold on to the past, or do you reinvent it to a total different concept? With this, we knew that we wanted to go back to 1 and 2, and embrace the nostalgicness, because the characters are the same. So, and the story is obviously evolving, but musically, there shouldn't be any need to kind of not be scared of embracing the past.
Mhm.
Well, you have quite the resume behind you. And yes, you've done Bad Boys, you've done Beverly Hills Cops, but you've also done Mission Impossible, Top Gun Maverick. So you compose for a variety of genres. What is your favorite genre?
Oh, my favorite. Weirdly, it's a genre that I've never written in. It's horror movies. I
Oh,
I love watching horror movies, but I keep well away from them because I wouldn't know how to write it musically. But I think the main thing is what I try to do is to try to be versatile and try to do different genres, just so that I don't just feel locked into one. I think that it's like working on a romantic comedy. I think if that's the only genre you work on, I think you're going to run out of emotional ideas on how to tell that story. So I try to kind of, when choosing projects, vary everything up so that if I'm doing an action film, I hope that my next project could be an animation or a rom-com.
All right. Well, I think it's really exciting what's happening. Movies are back. That's great. And I think that maybe you should think about the horror genre at one point. I think you would do a great job of that as well. Is there a place we can find information on you? I know that Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F will be in theaters and streaming starting tomorrow, but is there a place where we can find information on you?
Yeah, thankfully, there are no other Lorne Balfe out there. It's not that common a name, so it's I'm on Instagram and Twitter and X. Sorry, but the good thing about Instagram is that we're kind of showing the behind the scenes of how we recorded the score and how we made it, and we went to the synth museum in Los Angeles and tracked down all the old original synths from that time. So we're kind of updating a behind the scenes on Instagram.
All right. Well, fantastic. Thanks again for stopping by.
thanks,
My
Lauren.
pleasure. Thanks so much to you both. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. That was a special simulcast, Neil Haley Show in the Storehouse Media Group Podcast, guys. Take care.